What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Ron Pure Sports MLB Swing for the Fences Show playoff edition. We're back with the boys. Four-man booth. We got DC, we got Big T, we got Steve Boynton here. Let's go to you first, DC. Your Twins got the job done. I had enough of Royce Lewis to feel pretty good yesterday. So we'll see if the Twins can get another victory today. How are you feeling, though? And you got the Twins jersey on once again. I'm assuming it's still Byron Buxton on the back there.
Yeah, my only Twins jersey. I had to come back out, though, after Twins get the win, breaking the, 18-year and 18-game playoff losing streak. Pretty insane. Awesome to see them get a win. It was a fun crowd to Target Field. And like their chances again today against Jose Barrios, who they obviously know really well, former Twin. I think they got a good lineup that matches up well with him. So, yeah, feeling good about the Twins. It was really a fun day of baseball overall. My DFS results were just okay, but had a really good time watching all four games. I love that they're a little bit spread out, so you can kind of, mix and match and sit around and, watch some ball. So looking forward to doing it all again today.
All right, let's bring in Big T. Guest number 3. You're in the 3-hole, Big T. That's a solid spot to be. I know you like that 1 hole, but 3 holes not bad. You get to hit the runners in. RBIs are always good. Chicks dig the long ball. But how was the first day of playoff baseball? It was good for me, and should be another slate we got here again.
Yeah, it was a fun day. I love the playoffs. I'm not a huge baseball guy during the regular season, but I love the playoffs. I love sitting down watching these games. And as it goes, I like it even more as the teams start to whittle down. And I like the 2-game slates, 3-game slates. I always enjoy those. 4, I like 4 too. And like DC said, I like where it's spaced out a little bit, where 1 game and then even just an hour and a half gap and then 2 at the night. I like that, where you can focus on it a little more. I've always liked that for football and basketball too, those weird slates where you kind of space them out and you can adjust based on the game and different stuff like that. So looking forward to another day. I didn't do any good. I got half my money back or something, but nothing crazy. Gary owned me yesterday, and then he took the day off today. I was coming for you, Gary, today, but happy to see Steve back today. I missed Steve over the weekend. He was traveling. Who knows where he was this time. I saw waterfalls and all kinds of shit in his videos, but good to have him back.
Yeah, you don't know where Steve was. He was on a beach vacation with the family. We were joking.
Every time he sent me a video, there was something I wish I was with him at.
Yeah. We were joking with in the playbook chat that it was like the family vacation. They all get matching shirts right at the beach and everything.
Was it that? Did you guys have the matching shirts?
Boynton Beach Bash 2023. We didn't end up doing the shirts, but we had a blast. Went down to Aruba. It's always a good time. End of the baseball year is the same weekend at the end of the fiscal year ends for my day job. So get refreshed, and I'm ready for the games. Was able to actually watch all 4 of them traveling back yesterday on the plane, and then I was at a hotel in Newark, Mangone, overnight. So I was happy to only be in Newark for about 8-9 hours, and now I'm back in Chicago. So back to the grind.
You don't want to be in Newark that long, so definitely a smart move by you. It's good. Glad that you had a good time. I was actually thinking, Steve, you have such a perfect year where everything starts and ends perfectly. Like when March Madness ends, you get like this small window, then baseball starts. Like you have zero overlap. It feels like, at least I don't know. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, and then the prep for college starts basically now because while the playoffs are on for baseball, it's just less each day. So I'm able to get my college basketball prep in. But yeah, the calendar couldn't be better for me.
For sure. Uncle T mentioned the mustache, and I wanted to call this out, Uncle T. You're too comfortable with the best mustache at Run Pure Sports, so I had to come for you, right? I got to make you a little uncomfortable sometimes, Uncle T. I know you don't like that, but I'm coming for you. But yeah, check out Uncle T's core. I'm sure it'll be up on the site. We'll have tons of core plays for you guys and everything like that. But let's dive in. Let's talk about this baseball slate. Let's go to the pitching first. And DC, I thought you gave a pretty good breakdown yesterday. You were just saying, hey, the pricing made sense for the projections, right? Like you kind of like the way it went. Do you feel that way today? Because I don't totally feel that way today. Again, it's also game 2. And when you had Brandon Pfaadt pitching game 1, they're now coming with Zach Gallen for game 2 because I think he had to pitch against Houston because it was an important game, right? So basically you got some better pitchers on some teams than before and then some worse pitchers, right? So it's a little bit of a mixed bag today. Break down the pitching though.
Yeah, I do think it's kind of similar to yesterday where the order of the pricing of the pitchers looks about like it should. I don't really see anyone completely out of line, which means, for the most part, you can, I think, play most of these guys. I am personally eliminating the 3 cheapest pitchers from my pool. So, yeah, Braxton Garrett down there. I mean, I just don't know how long he's going to go. He's had a quick hook for a lot of the year, and just don't like going up against this Phillies team, second lefty in a row that they're going to face. So he's kind of off the list for me. I really like the Twins to hit around Jose Barrios, so I'm kind of eliminating him as well. Those are the 2 cheapest guys. And then Nathan Eovaldi, Mangone, I think you were on the show with me. I think it was a premium show. I know this is a free one, so a lot of new watchers. I talked about that last start of his against Seattle. I think you were on.
Yeah.
And saying Seattle is by far my favorite stack of the night. They were all 1% owned. They knocked him around again for I think 5 or 6 runs. He's been pitching hurt. It looks pretty obvious. The velocity's been down. He's been getting hit hard. This is a guy that's throwing 97 and a half. Now he's sitting down near 94 after coming back from injury. So yeah, the Rays, not the most inspiring lineup in the world, but they are my favorite stack tonight. Just don't trust Eovaldi whatsoever. So he's off the list for me as well. So, that does leave me.
Last start, it was 7 earned runs, DC. So it was 7 earned in 3.1 innings, and he went 80 pitches. So, and that was like a spot where I was going to maybe be on him, and then you kind of talked me off, and it was a good call by you. So
yeah, I think he was somewhat popular, and his velocity did actually come up a little bit in that start. But I almost wonder, because it was essentially a must-win game not a must-win, obviously. They didn't win and still got in the playoffs. But, he was probably giving it, absolutely everything he had in that start and still didn't have it. So I think he could potentially even be a little bit worn out for this one. And I don't think he would be starting, frankly, if the Rangers had more pitching. They just had so many injuries down the stretch that they just kind of forced to throw him out there. So he's off the list. So anyway, that leaves the final 5, Gallen, Peralta, Eflin, Sonny Gray, Aaron Nola, all of whom I think are reasonable plays. My favorite combination today personally is Zach Gallen and Aaron Nola. These guys are all priced pretty close together, only a 1,200 difference between the top 5 pitchers. I like Philly to win again against Miami. I think it's the weakest lineup or close to it with the Brewers, which is kind of why I like Zach Gallen as well. I don't know. I got some faith in Zach Gallen to deliver here against Milwaukee. Don't mind the matchup for him. So, yeah, I rank it Gallen 1, Nola 2. We'll go Peralta 3. He's been awesome down the stretch, missing a ton of bats. Sonny Gray 4 and Eflin 5 is my ranking of the 5 pitchers. But I do think it's pretty close between all 5. And then, like I said, the final 3, Eovaldi, Barrios, Braxton Garrett, I'll be fading all 3 of those guys.
All right, before I go to Big T, I'll say this. For me, pitching-wise, I agree with you on the 3, right? I'm definitely Gallen, Nola, Peralta. I think Nola and Gallen, it's closer. I kind of felt similar yesterday. I like Burns, but I like Wheeler a lot. I might just go back to Nola, and I know Nola's not Wheeler, but Nola's pretty good. That Marlins offense is just not it right now. So we don't have the lineup yet, but I do think Nola is going to be the best value on this slate. And then I like the other 2 options that you talked about for sure, DC. And then I think there's more of a gap than you. I know you said it's closer. I think that's the first tier, those 3, and then there's a gap there, at least for me. Big T, let's go to you. How do you see pitching shaking out here on this slate?
Yeah, another playoff slate. You got good pitching. And honestly, the pitchers we're getting rid of, too, are decent options on most slates. It's just, again, I bet all 4 unders yesterday. I'm going to probably bet all 4 unders today. I just like pitching in the playoffs. I'm going to say it every time you hear me talk playoffs for the next 2 months. I like pitching. So you got to narrow it down. And I agree mostly with DC. I think Nola is my favorite for sure. Miami's just the weakest of the teams that I see in here. And Nola's got the experience. I trust him the most. I think he's the best spot. And I think I'm with him on Philly. I said it yesterday. They look like a team that could make another run to me. They have pitching, they have hitting, they have everything they need to make a deep run. So I like Nola the most. Peralta is going to be my number 2, though. I just think Milwaukee. I like Milwaukee in the National League. I know a lot of teams don't, but I like this pitching. I know they lost yesterday, but that makes me like Peralta even more today. And after that, I actually like Berrios a little today. I know that on paper the matchup doesn't look great, but I don't know. I feel like he's looked good to me, just straight eyeball test. The one thing that worries me is what DC said, where Minnesota knows him pretty well, but I just feel like he's gonna pitch good today. And I think Sonny Gray. I like the under in that game, probably the most of any of my bets today. I like both pitchers in that game. I'm actually gonna fade some of the guys though. I'm gonna fade Eflin for sure. I think Texas closes them down today. I'm going to fade. I like Texas, but Eovaldi, I agree with what DC was saying. I do think he's a gamer, though. We've seen him in the playoffs. He's just a gamer in my mind. I've seen him really rise up. So I wouldn't be surprised if he pitches good today, but you just don't need it. I mean, you can play these other guys for the similar price. So I don't need to gamble on him. I do think he pitches good, though. Like, if it was a different slate or it was a showdown, I'd be fine using Eovaldi. Like, I'm not, like, stacking Tampa up against him or anything. But so I'm fading Gallen, too. I don't like him that much versus Milwaukee. Who didn't I talk about? I'm fading 4 of them, though. I'm fading Eovaldi. I'm fading Eflin. I'm fading Gallen.
Garrett?
Oh, I didn't even have him on my list. That's why I couldn't. So I took him off. I'm definitely not playing him.
By the way, nice to see you, Kevin. Kevin is very upset and scared in the chat. Kevin, you'll be okay. Don't worry about it. Also, yesterday was National Kevin Day. I don't know if you guys knew this. I randomly came across it on social media. So happy National.
Is there just
Kevin
a national day for everything, like National Small Wiener Day and stuff?
Yeah.
Like you celebrate all the small schlongs out there.
What I want to know is who decides it's National Kevin Day? Like who makes this decision?
I don't know. I just happened to catch it, and then I actually Googled it, and I was like, oh, it was. And then I said, I wish I knew earlier, so I could have made sure everyone spammed Kevin in the chat. So
according to who is what I'm wondering.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know who the person that does that is. I'm sure our guy Mikey celebrates National Small Schlong Day. So Mikey, whenever you celebrate, let us know. But
you're not allowed to say that to him, by the way. That man took it to you on the court.
Hey, don't worry.
You're not allowed to call him out.
I am, because I'm going to take it to him this year. I'm happy to say
that man stood in the middle of that paint with his belly out and just dared you to come in there. He looked like a pregnant man sitting in the middle of the paint.
I pray he does it again. I pray he does it again.
I had to listen to 5 hours of Mangone talking about his revamped jump shot on our
I am going to own Mikey's ass this year. He better make sure he shows up, and he better make sure he shows up with a huge wallet, because it's going to be bad for him on the court. It's going to be bad for him in the poker streets as well. So,
he can't show up in worse shape. So, we know that.
The bad news for him is he's young and pregnant. What's going to happen when he's old?
Correct. It's going to be a tough scene for our guy Mikey. All right, Steve, let's go to you. Give me the pitching takes. You're nice and refreshed from Aruba, so you probably got some clear eyes on this slate. What do you got here?
I didn't know he was in the chat. That makes it even funnier.
I'm taking all action. I put 4 arms in the playbook today. Gallen, Peralta, Gray, and Nola are my 4 favorites by far.
There it is.
What is that?
Oh, that test that's if you took the virus, you're gonna die or something. You're gonna become a zombie. What is that test? Yeah.
I'm not getting an alert. What the hell?
I don't know. Maybe you have an Android or something.
That's weird. No? Oh, there it is.
I was about to say, how does it not work on yours? You better be worried.
There it is. Just a delay on the iPhone mini that I have. I get the 30-second delay.
By the way, real quick, Mikey, you're not the biggest slab winner here. I am. I have won the most dollars on the slab, so you can go back and settle down. I'm going to make sure to take your money once again. So.
Yes. So I'm pretty much in line with these guys. Gallen, Peralta, Nola, my top 3. Interesting to look at ownership. Nola, I think, in single entry going to be 50-60%. I think that's probably right. Just kind of seems like a little brother situation with the Marlins here. Like, they had a great season. I kind of wish that they got a different draw here. They're going to Philly. That place was absolutely bonkers last night. This seems like it's going to be a short series for the Marlins. I was bummed that our guy Lazard didn't pitch better last night, but not that hard to see it going south for him in Philly. So good chance at a win for Nola. We were talking about the order of pricing. I think that if you had to argue that someone is underpriced, I think it's Nola here. Honestly, at 8K at home as a big favorite, highest K prop on the whole slate. So he's a great play, obviously. And then Peralta, man, has just been nails the last 2-3 months, and especially at home. So I like Peralta a good bit here. Gallen's interesting. Projected under 20%, at least on Sabre, on a 4-game slate. If you watch that game with Arizona yesterday, they basically had to use every one of their pen guys because Fott didn't give them much, and they used all of their good guys too. So I think this is a spot where if Gallen is pitching well, they let him go 7-8 innings here, trying to close out the Brewers. So I like Gallen as a contrarian option. We've got him projected really close to Peralta at about a third of the ownership. So I think that he's definitely interesting there. Good to see that you're on him too, DC. And then I had Gray fourth. Just not a guy that I click too often this season. He had an awesome season. 2.03 ERA in 66 innings since August 1st. Just doesn't quite have the strikeout upside of these other guys. But again, in the playoffs, if he gives you 6 clean innings, you're going to be fine with that. So I'm playing 20 lineups on the slate. I'm only playing those 4 pitchers.
The one thing about Gray that worries me too, they've been quick to pull him at the first sign of trouble, even sometimes before the trouble even gets there. It's low strikeout matchup, and the Twins, they had a really, really clean pitching day. They did use most of their good arms, but those guys had been rested for 3 or 4 days anyway, and I think they could just trot out their best relievers, after 5 innings from Gray, which, 5 good innings might be enough anyway, but I'm a little bit worried about how deep Gray goes into the game.
Yeah, again, should be an interesting pitching slate here. Steve, did you do your breakdown of your top 3 there?
Yeah, my top 3 are gonna be Nola, then Peralta, then Gallen.
Okay, yeah, I think those are the 3 that most people are going to gravitate towards, and I think they are the best options. And good points that you brought about the bullpen with Arizona and everything like that. DC, before we kind of dive deeper, any other bullpens that you noticed yesterday that you think could, I don't know, they're taxed, right? But I don't know, you could have the starter go a little longer, or on the flip side, they didn't use guys as much, and maybe there's a quicker leash.
Yeah, I mean, the Brewers, Burns didn't make it as far as they hoped. They used almost all their guys, and Devin Williams got knocked around in the 9th inning, right? And I think he threw 30 pitches, so he could be, I'm sure he's available, but, not as effective. And then the Blue Jays definitely used all of their best relievers as well. Weirdly pulled Gaussman after he struck out the side. That was I thought, a really strange decision. I don't think anything too crazy with the bullpens today. But yeah, I think the Blue Jays and the Brewers possibly a little bit gassed. And then like Steve said, Diamondbacks are going to get everything they can, I think, out of Zach Gallen today. I wouldn't be surprised to see him throw, I don't know, even 110 pitches if things are going well, because they don't have much of a bullpen, and certainly after yesterday, they're going to need him. So, yeah, I think that's a bigger boost to Gallen for me.
All right. Kevin told me to go check live show chat. All right, Kevin, you now can go check live show chat. So enjoy. I have a nice little photo of Phallic in there if you guys want to just enjoy Phallic in his younger days. Oh, good times. But let's keep this thing moving along. Let's keep going on to the games. First one up is the Tampa Bay Rays, followed by the Texas Rangers. And Rangers, they are, they're a pretty good team, pretty good offense. Question is, can they get a hold of Eflin here? The Rays are a team that they were great to start the year, and they kind of slowed down. DC, question is, does Texas finish this thing off, or do the Rays kind of take care of business today?
Yeah, the Rays are my favorite side today overall. I think Eovaldi's going to get hit hard. I just don't think he really has it. And then a pretty bad bullpen behind him as well. Interestingly, all these injuries to the Rays have kind of reduced well, first of all, a lot of these guys wouldn't be starting anyway, right? Margot, Curtis Mead, Pinto, it's just all these injuries have kind of forced them to change the starting lineup. But I actually think it could work out well for them. Eovaldi got hit much harder by right-handed hitters throughout the year. Like I said, I think he's pitching through injury right now. And, I really, really like this Rays squad against Eovaldi. They are my favorite stack. And then Eflin, I think he'll be fine. I'm not going to play too much of him. But, he's been awesome all year. He's been a little bit better at home as well, which he's pitching at home here, obviously, against Texas. It's a really good lineup for the Rangers, of course. And Eflin, I just don't know if the strikeouts are going to be there for him. But I do expect him to pitch well. He is another guy, though, that, they will pull him early if things aren't going according to plan. So, give me the Rays side over Texas, and not really on Texas bats, but not on F1 too much either.
All right, Big T. This game is definitely one that I think, listen, not a great park, but I do think there's one that could have some winners on it here. Do you think Eovaldi gets smashed, or do you think Eflin could be in some trouble as well?
Yeah, I like the Texas side more. I don't like Tampa's lineup. Yandy, I always like better against lefties. Man, Harold Ramirez, I like that. This the Tampa team's done. They're going home. I don't understand how they're favored. And I mean, they got a dude named Rene Pinto in there. I mean, there's no way this team's going home today. So I don't like a single bat outside of, I guess, A-Roz would be the guy that I would play, but all their dudes in there, man. Eovaldi's got to be reverse splits from this lineup, I'm sure, right?
He is, yep.
Yeah, he's got to be. But I think they go home, and I agree with DC about Eovaldi. I just feel like Tampa doesn't rise up today, so I won't be heavy on there. I do like Tampa though, I do like Texas though. Against Eflin. I just feel like they look good yesterday. I know they got some errors in their favor. I was wrong. I had Tampa yesterday, and I'm circling back today, which is always a little bit of a scare. I hate when I'm on a team and then I flip and then you lose both ways. The opposite, what do we always call it? The zigzag, the opposite zigzag where you lose. I can't help it, though. I just think Texas is a better team, and they're an underdog today. So I like these guys, too. Seager, I like their lineup better. Adolis Garcia, I know VIP is the biggest homer in the entire world posting this stuff in the Discord, but he posted something about the pitches that Adolis Garcia likes to hit, and it matches with Eflin, so I like that. Evan Carter is 4,100 at the bottom. No one's going to play him, but he continues to do good. He's a great play at the bottom of the lineup just because he's going to be unowned on a 4-game slate, so I'm definitely more on the Texas side here.
Yeah, I mean, when VIP says Texas is a good play, that's like Rubio telling me it's a good WNBA slate.
He literally, I've never seen him. He's a bigger homer than even Gary. I mean, he loves those Texas teams. I mean, come on, VIP. Put your schlong back in the pants.
For real. Let's go over to Steve. Steve, the question is it 3-2-1 Cancun, or you're someone who just came back from Aruba, so you might know. Do the Rays look like they're ready for vacation?
Yeah, so I was coming back from vacation. The Rays are going on vacation after today, I think. No, it's just the lineup I don't trust right now. DC's right about all the stuff with Eovaldi. He's looked bad. But, yeah, I don't know. I just don't trust him right now. And the Rangers were red hot against right-handed pitchers down the stretch. Fourth in weighted runs created plus, second in ISO in all of baseball the last month of the season. I don't love the park. I think this game's going to be over-owned, honestly. If you look at Sabre, the ownerships for the bats, they've got the Rays with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of the 8 highest owned bats on the slate. So that tells me right away that I'm going to be different because I don't like Tampa that much here. It's a decent spot. If they were going to be low owned against Eovaldi, I think I would like it more. Clearly a good spot on paper with how bad he's been. It's just not the direction that I'm going on my main team, at least. But these Rays bats are cheap, so they do fit well as secondary stacks with other teams. So I think that's more of where I'm going to get my Rays exposure is in 2 and 3 mans, just kind of filling it in with the other teams that I like more, which is Minnesota and Philly today.
Yeah, I think.
By the way, we always talk about pronunciations. Watching those games, this dude's name's not Josh Jung.
No, it's Young.
Unbelievable when I heard that yesterday. I legitimately couldn't. That was one I was certain I was right on.
Yeah, Josh Young.
Did you hear the a chain and a Chan one? Did you hear that one, Tony?
I mean, I always laugh at some of those ones like that. People are going to pronounce that both ways for the end of time.
Yeah, correct. No one's ever going to get that one right. Let's move this thing along. We got like 40 minutes till lockabout. And that next game up is the Blue Jays and the Twins. And we got to start with DC to let us know what to do with the Twins. Obviously, Lewis banged 2 out yesterday, right? Absolute monster. Do we just get exposure again, right? Do we think that the hot streak's going to continue here at DC? It feels like he's been smashing like all season since he's been up. But I think Twins are in a pretty decent spot against Brewers. They got a lefty heavy enough lineup. I ended up looking at that too. Looked like it was pretty strong. Who's getting subbed out too from the manager as well, Rocco Baldelli? I know he likes to mess with guys. So let us know which guys have the pinch hit risk and who you like here on the Twins.
Yeah, I think the biggest pinch hit risks are Julian and Wallner, and then maybe Michael Taylor if they need a little bit of a better hitter. He's in there mostly for defensive purposes. But I think they're more safe than they usually are. I think just one lefty in the pen for the Blue Jays. They could use Kikuchi as well, which I assume the Twins would pinch hit in that scenario. But yeah, I still like those guys. Even Kirilloff, too, is a risk. Wallner, Kirilloff, and Julian. But Barrios this year and historically just not all that great against left-handed bats. Quite a few home runs given up to him by lefties on the year. Decent hitting environment in Minnesota, wind blowing out to center field. So, yeah, I do like the Twins to do some damage. You obviously can play Royce Lewis, even though he doesn't have the platoon advantage. But, yeah, I'm back in on these Twins. I talked about it yesterday. I just think this is a team that's built a little bit different this year. They got the rookies that came up and gave them a big boost. And obviously the Royce Lewis is, I think, their clear leader at this point. He was incredible yesterday. And Barrios, yeah, I don't know. I just don't think he's going to step up here against his former team. So I'm on the Twin side. Not really many Blue Jays. I'll sprinkle these guys in. The cheap guys at the bottom of the lineup, I think, are all fine if you need some salary savings. But I do expect Sonny Gray to pitch well. He was awesome at run prevention, especially in the second half of the year. The Twins have pretty well rested and pretty good bullpen behind him as well. So, yeah, I think the Twins close this one out today.
All right, we'll go over to you, Big T. Obviously, there's enough lefties in this lineup, and Barrios, we know he's had his struggles against lefties. I'm kind of on these Twins again. I want to make sure I get exposure to them. How about you?
So my hot take of the day is Barrios just absolutely mows this team. Like I think he just looking at his numbers, even the history. I love Polanco. I mean, he just has handled this. I know it's only the baseball people will always say the sample's small, 62 at bats. I mean, whatever. This is how I look at it, and that's fine if people want to make fun of me for it. But 62 at bats, 161 average, 17 Ks. I mean, all these guys. Jorge Polanco 1 for 10, Michael Taylor 1 for 7, Correa 4 for 14, which isn't bad. I don't know. And Barrios, just the end of the year, just looked good to me. I don't know, 10 Ks, 6, 8, 7, 7 his last 5 games. I just feel like he's going to mow today. And I know how everyone thinks, and everyone's going to see these lefties, and they get pinch hit for it too. Like Wallner, I just feel like this is the spot that's going to win people money today. People are going to play these lefties and these guys from Minnesota. I'm going to play Barrios, and I'm going to play the later bats, Milwaukee and Philly and some of those guys more. I just think these first 2 games underachieve offensively. So my contrarian play of the day will be probably not much Twins, if any, in my teams. And I'm not going to play much Toronto either, because Sonny Gray, I don't love him like these guys said, where I don't play him a ton, but I also don't think he ever gets hit that hard. So I don't see it. I do appreciate my boy Kiermaier coming through for me yesterday, though. Grinded out a 10-piece. I'll definitely play him again. I'll always play Kiermaier in the playoffs because you don't need a bomb. How many guys on the slate can you say that? There's a lot of guys that need a bomb. He can grind you out at bats and get you 10 with, like yesterday. He had two hits and a walk. and he ends up with like 10 or 12 or something fantasy points, and that's huge. So I'll leave him in the pool. Dalton Varsho too at the bottom of the lineup. Those are two guys that I have my eye on. The 7 and the 9, both cheap. Both you don't need that much. Like I could play 4 or 5 Philly or Milwaukee guys. Philly mainly. I mean, I just want to play Philly. I think they're clearly the best spot of the day. And then I can get different playing Kiermaier and Varsho. They kind of match up decent with Philly too, where if you look at the lineup, it blends pretty decently together. So I'll be contrarian in this game. Not much Twins for me, and Barrios is my for sure my low-owned pitcher. I think that crushes.
Yeah, I honestly think you could play both sides. Like I think there's 2 spots on this slate. I'd be okay playing both sides. I think the Twins and Barrios is one of those sides, and there's one later that we'll get to that we'll discuss. So I can see both sides of it for sure. Steve, I'll go over to you next. Do you think it's Twins or do you think it's Blue Jays? It seems like DC is on the Twins. Seems like Big T is on the Blue Jays. So split it here.
Yeah, I'm on the Twins here. Liked them a lot down the stretch. It's just a different team than the Twins that have sucked in the postseason in the past. They're young. They're different. I get the numbers that Tony put out that the Twins have had against Barrios, but a lot of these guys either haven't seen them or, they haven't seen them much. I'm not too concerned about that. I just think that the Twins are going to win this series. I think they win it today. Barrios was better down the stretch, but always been worse outside of Toronto, and he gives up a lot of power, the most on the slate outside of Eovaldi here. So I think what I'm most comfortable with the Twins is power hunting, right? You don't have to play a 5-man Twins, but even if he pitches well or decent, he always does give up power, and this Twins team ended the season really, really hot with the sticks, especially in the power department. 5th in ISO against righties over last month. I just think it's a good spot overall for the Twins. I think that they win this series and then go on and actually play well against Houston too. So, I'm on the Twins here. I've got them as my secondary stack in my main lineup. They're also starting Jeffers at catcher. So on a tough catcher slate overall, where I think a lot of people are going to punt with Pinto, guys like Jeffers, Heim aren't that much more, and they have legit pop. Jeffers can take anyone out. So I do like this team a bit here today. I get the Barrios play, but I'm just have conviction that the Twins are going to play well in this postseason, and I'm going to keep riding with it.
Yeah, one thing that I thought that was good that you called out there was the Jeffers thing, just because, you can get, it's nice having Royce Lewis get his bomb, but you can, or his 2 home runs, but you could argue getting a home run at catcher can be huge. You can really just separate you from the field at times, just because not many can match that, right? So that is one good point about Jeffers that I thought was a really good one by you. Let's keep moving this thing along. We got the Brewers and the Diamondbacks, and this is the spot where I was thinking, I think we could play both sides. I think you could play Peralta, and I think you could make a case to play the Diamondbacks as well here. We know they like to steal bases. I believe Peralta is someone that can give up stolen bases as well. He can also walk people. So I think Peralta, we know how shaky he can get. But we also know what his ceiling is going to be. So, DC, I'll go over to you first. Between the Brewers and Diamondbacks, who do you like the most? And maybe you like both sides here or more of the pitching.
Yeah, the Brewers or the Diamondbacks were really aggressive on the base paths yesterday. Contreras actually threw out a couple guys. I'll bring up the same point I did yesterday. I really like the combining. Corbin Carroll was my play of the day. Obviously had a monster game, but the combination of him and Burns, it obviously didn't work out. Burns didn't pitch particularly well, but I did look through lineups. And almost nobody played the 2 guys together. So I'll say the same thing I did yesterday. But you can play Freddie Peralta and Corbin Carroll on the same team. Same point I made yesterday. Steals don't hurt your pitcher, right? If he steals a couple bases off of Peralta, it doesn't necessarily take away from Peralta's points. So obviously you can do it different ways too, or off the relievers. But I do like maybe playing a one-off, especially a base stealer against your starting pitcher to get unique. But yeah, I do think Peralta pitches well here. They're going to need him. Ran through the bullpen yesterday. He had did he have one of the highest strikeout rates, maybe just behind Spencer Strider in the second half of the year, really turned it on. And I think he'll pitch well here at home. It's a low strikeout matchup, though. The Diamondbacks do put the ball in play pretty well and obviously had a good game plan, it seemed like, against Corbin Burns. So I wouldn't be shocked to see them have a little bit of success as well. I think they're a decent contrarian stack, the D-backs. I didn't get there too much on my 5 lineups, but I wouldn't hate it. And then I do like Zach Gallen to pitch well. Wish it was at home, where he's been much better throughout this year in his career. But, 4-game slate, I'll take it on the road. So, yeah, give me Gallen over Peralta. But I do think both guys are in play, and I don't mind, stacking the pitchers on one game either.
All right, Big T. Any interest in this game, Arizona and Milwaukee? Obviously, they've gone through some bullpen guys, so we can see the pitchers go a little bit longer. What do you think here, Tony?
I mean, it's fun to talk about these playoff slates because, like we talked about a lot on the show yesterday, it's not like regular season where we're talking about stacks and stuff. Mainly, I mean, like, this game's a perfect example. Like, I couldn't see full stacking either one of these teams against these pitchers, but you can, like DC said. I could love Freddie Peralta today, and Corbin Carroll could be my favorite bat. Like, that's not the case for me, but I get the point that you just are so unique when that happens, and I really think it's a good move to – there's always at least one bat you like against your pitcher. I mean, these are playoff teams. It's not just dead lineups in there. So, and just by doing that, you're different. Like, playing Corbin Carroll against Freddie Peralta, I mean, at most 1%, less than 1% are guaranteed to do that. So the minute he hits 1 or 2 bombs, or you don't even need that, but if he does that, like, imagine if he hits 2 bombs and Peralta strikes out 10. You're going to win so much money on this slate just by that happening. And you got a great pitcher and a great hitter. So it makes so much sense to me. I love it. And I just, man, you look at these lineups. I talked about it yesterday with Arizona. They beat me. They got hits, but I look at these righties against a guy like Peralta. I think he's going to mow them down. I think he's going to strike a bunch of guys out. Corbin Carroll's the one guy that sticks out to me that you can really like for Arizona. And Marte, for sure, 1-2. I like Marte a ton, too. So you could even, you play either one of those guys against Peralta, but the rest of the lineup, I am not playing. I'm not playing those righties, Tommy Pham, Walker. I'm not playing those guys. So just the top 2 for me. And then more of the same for Milwaukee. I think Gallen pitches well. He's always just rock solid. So, I mean, the bottom of the lineup, I'm not playing Donaldson and Taylor and these guys. I love Willie Adames yesterday. He had a pretty good game. I don't even like him all that much today just because I love Trey Turner and I love Seager. I like 2 shortstops more, so won't have much there, but same difference. I can play Gallen with Christian Yelich and Contreras or something. So, like, there is a lot of leverage in that situation for me. But these are not 2 teams I want to get crazy with because I like both pitchers as far as just talent.
All right, Steve, how do you feel about this game? Two pitchers that it sounds like we're all interested in, but do you think there's any, maybe you're going to stack against them? Maybe you'll add some guys against one pitcher. I don't know. There's tons of ways you can play these baseball slates like Tony just said. How do you handle it?
Yeah, so I do like both of these pitchers here. I've got Peralta on my main team. I'm more inclined to play the Milwaukee bats here at home against Gallen, who has been really good in spots, but when it's gone wrong for him, it's gone worse, and they have a much worse bullpen. So I like Milwaukee a good bit here. I think they win this game and force a game 3. I will say because like down the stretch, Arizona isn't here because their bats a month or 2 of the season. Their bats are actually awful. Dead last in ISO over the last 2 weeks, 27th over the last month against right-handed pitching. So I think Peralta can have a real nice outing here. Milwaukee, on the other hand, they closed out the division basically behind their bats, top 5 in weighted runs created plus over the last couple of weeks. Their lineup looks good here. I'm going to be playing a couple of Milwaukee 5-mans, but this game for me is mostly filler, 1-offs, 2-mans, 3-mans as secondary stacks.
Do you stack anyone against your pitcher like DC did Carroll versus Burns? Do you do that at all on these playoff slates?
Yeah, I limit it to one and like the favorite one for me on Arizona at first base, Christian Walker, which has just been mashing at the end of the season. He's priced under 5K here. I like him a good bit if you need a first baseman to slot in. So yeah, I'll play a max of one against my guy. Yeah, that's the rule that I have for this slate.
Cool. Tony, the people are asking, is the Big T core going to be dropped soon? One of the favorite things to be asked. Let the people know.
Yeah, I'm working on it as we go. The process. I got the player pool up. I'm actually building the main team right now. So I think I just found the main team that's going to go up. I didn't want to play Nola on my main team. He is my favorite like multi-entry, but just looking at some of the numbers, I really wanted to play Barrios and Peralta on my main team, but I actually need the 800 to get everyone in I want, so I'm going to go back to Nola. But it's going up right now.
All right, going up right now. So if you haven't signed up, go sign up using the code NFL15. Get you 15% off. Final game of the slate. We got the Phillies and the Marlins. We'll obviously have some showdown content for that, so check that out on the site. I played it yesterday. It was a good time. Definitely going to get back in there for sure. DC, Braxton Garrett is probably the worst pitcher on the slate. And then Aaron Nola is in a pretty good spot. So I think this is going to be more of a Phillies heavy spot. Wind is blowing out too in Philly. Not a lot. And it's like hotter there than some other places where other spots are in domes and just not as great weather. Is this a spot where you're going to load up on those Phillies bats and kind of be chalky?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing crazy, but it still is a hitter's park and, warm, humid, a little wind out. It's a good spot for hitting for sure in Philadelphia tonight. I think Aaron Nola is going to be the most popular pitcher on the slate. Is that right? I believe so. Yeah, just given the price point at 8K, I get it. I like him a lot too. And Braxton Garrett, you mentioned him being the worst pitcher on the slate. I don't disagree with that, but like he was legitimately good this year. He's not some bum. But he's kind of a soft tossing lefty, and I don't know. Sometimes that stuff I think can kind of fall apart in the playoffs when you don't have the stuff to lean on, which he certainly doesn't. On the road, never pitched in a playoff game before. Got to try to save the season. It's a tough spot for Braxton Garrett, and I'm with Big T, and I think the rest of you guys. I think the Phillies, they definitely have the most upside. I think that's fair to say. If one team was going to go absolutely nuclear, I do think it would be the Phillies. I obviously like the Rays a lot too, but when you compare the two lineups, it's just the individual hitters on the Phillies are just so much better than the Rays guys. So the Rays thing is just mostly a bet against Eovaldi. So yeah, I get it with the Phillies. I do expect them to have success. I'll bring up the same point though on the Marlins side. Jazz Chisholm in particular looks like an amazing one-off to play against Aaron Nola. Two things Aaron Nola does poorly, gives up a lot of home runs, specifically to left-handed bats, which Jazz is, and you can run on him. And Jazz Chisholm steals a bunch of bases. So he's got both things you want against Aaron Nola. So I do like that kind of sneaky one-off that most people won't use. But yeah, I mean, Arias, Josh Bell, they've got some dangerous bats in there. Miami does that you can use if you're not on Nola or even if you are. And then I'm not playing Garrett. I think I just don't know how deep he's going to go in this game. And I don't know. I just don't want to mess with the Phillies right now. I think they close this one out today.
You got me on mute there. I got called, but Phillies, DC or Big T. I think the Phillies are going to just close it out, just like DC. They're going to be an offense that I'm definitely exposed to. And I get it, it's chalky, right? But just got to mix and match your lineups in the correct way to get different, unique combinations in there. Are you eating some chalk here with the Phillies? Yeah,
I mean, I think they're like far and away the best stack. I mean, not even close, just full shove. And yesterday I talked more about the 3-3-2s. I'm just shoving the Phillies, and then I'm going to do stuff like DC talked about where I'm going to get creative with the rest of the team. I'm going to do some weird stuff in the other spots, but it's just such good chalk. I mean, you look at this lineup, the way it sets up against them, all the righties are in a good spot, and then the lefties are sneaky because people aren't going to want to pay those price tags lefty. And I just think they're clearly the best spot. I mean, just the up and down the lineup. I talked about my boy yesterday, Pache. He got pinch hit, but he had a nice little run before that. He had a good little result for 2,100. Rojas at the bottom. I just love the lineup. I like it 1 through 9, and clearly the best spot for me. So I'm in on there. And I do think you can play some Marlins, though, just based on the slate. Like, for example, I could use Nola, 5 Phillies, 2 Marlins, and that's one way to get different with Phillies chalk, man. Like, I could play Jazz Chisholm against Nola on a Phillies stack. That is a type of team I am very interested in. And, yeah, I don't like Miami against Nola that much. But in this slate where you have a bunch of good pitchers, if you get a couple stolen bases and a bomb from one of these guys, I mean, you're going to win the slate because of that. Everyone's going to have the Phillies. Well, at least people that are smart are going to have the Phillies. And you got to find some way to just get a little different. And the Marlins could be that, honestly. And I'd be okay with any of the Marlins just as like one-offs or two-man stacks. But I could see that being what wins it for someone today, sprinkling some Marlins in there.
All right, Steve, are you sprinkling any Marlins on your teams? And also, what do you think of the Phillies chalk? Is it good or bad today?
Yeah, I'd add Soler and Jake Berger to those one-off Marlins with power. Berger was really, really good for them down the stretch. And, you know, we've all seen what Soler has done in previous postseasons, especially that Braves run. Yeah, Phil's best spot for me. I'm going to have 5 Phils on my team. Tony took my point about the lefties. This is what we did with them all last postseason. Played Harper, played Stott, played Schwarber against the lefties because no one wants to click them. So I'm playing the bottom of the order plus the lefties on my main team. That's how I'm going to get unique within the stack for my Phillies. But, yeah, I think, like I said earlier, this is kind of little brother versus older brother type of matchup in Philly. Just a rough draw for Miami. It does suck. I was hoping that they would play a different team here because I do like the arms, but you know, maybe a year too early for the Marlins. But yeah, love the bottom of the order, like Big T said for Philly. Pache actually hit lefties really, really well this year. About 60 plate appearances, hit 315, and actually slugged pretty well. So I think he's, you know, he is at risk to be pulled when a right-hander comes in. But at 2-1, you know, I'm less worried about it on a small playoff slate, you know, getting one less at bat from a free guy than I am on a normal Friday 14-game slate, you know, where it's really going to hurt you when we have really, really high scoring. So I'm fine playing the cheat platoon guys here. So, yeah, for me, it's going to be bottom of the order, Phillies and the lefties that people don't want to click.
All right, bottom of the order, Phillies and those lefties that people don't want to click. You'll probably be in on Rojas then. Apparently, Fallick just found out that he's an outfielder, and Gary said he's been an outfielder for a month. So, Kevin, that's what happens when you win $300,000 playing NFL. You probably don't play MLB too much. I'll at least say that. But let's go on over to the plays of the day. DC, hit me with your play. Corbin Carroll crushed it yesterday. Who is the DC Snyder Soldiers play of the day?
Yeah, we used Carroll, who was the going up against the chalk pitcher in Corbin Burns. We'll go to the Marlins this time. Jazz Chisholm talked about the power speed combination against Nola, against the chalk pitcher of the day. And I think you can and maybe should play him on the same team to get different. Not something I recommend during the regular season, but on a 4-game playoff slate, I think it makes a lot of sense. So Jazz Chisholm with my Snyder Soldier play of the day.
Yeah. And speaking of Snyder, happy birthday to Snyder. Let him know it's his birthday. So
we had to go back to the Soldiers when it's his birthday. So
yeah, for sure. Big T, give me your Snyder's Soldiers play of the day.
I do love the Snyder Soldier segment, but mine's I never do a pitcher, but my favorite play of the day is Jose Barrios against these lefties. No one's going to play him on FanDuel. He's going to be 1% owned even on a 4-game slate. I think he's going to strike out like 10 guys today, and it's going to be massive leverage on the field. Jose Barrios, my Snyder Soldiers, play of the day.
There it is. Steve, get in line. Be ready because you got to give your Snyder Soldiers play of the day. So who do you got, Steve? Who is going to be the first playoff Snyder Soldiers Steve play of the day?
Yeah, my guy's an actual soldier. He's pretty cheap. I mentioned him earlier in the show. I like him within a mini or as a one-off. Even with Big T's play, I think you could play him here as a one-off. Ryan Jeffers at catcher. He ended the season well. He actually stole a base the other day. That was weird. But, I think he hits a bomb for us today. 3,500 a catcher. I like the Twins for one-offs and secondary stacks.
All right, I like it. My Snyder Soldier play of the day is going to be Nick Blastolanos. We'll take him in the outfield. I feel like everyone always likes to go to Harper and Schwarber. I'll take Castellanos there in the 5-hole, so he will be my play of the day. But it was a good show. Had a lot of fun. Big T, let the people know the Print Factory is coming up next, I believe, right? So let them know about the Print Factory if they've never seen it, and then we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, we're going to hop on premium show, me, JSU, ODB, every game. We usually go hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe 3 if JSU talks too much. But break down the whole slate, talk about every game from a bets perspective, mainly on this one. We do talk a little DFS, but more of like a preview to lead you into the week. And I got some good takes this week coming too. There's some big-time football games coming this weekend.
All right, watch out for Big T's takes. Should be a good time. That's going to wrap it up for us. We're going to get those core plays finalized and everything on the site, so be sure to check that out over there. But for me, Mangone, DC, Big T, Steve, and Snyder Soldiers, we'll see you guys later.